Dr. Maya Rodriguez had been working at the Arctic Research Station for 3 years. She thought she had seen everything the frozen wasteland could throw at her. The howling winds, the endless white landscape, and the bone-chilling cold that could freeze your breath before it left your mouth. But nothing had prepared her for what she was about to witness on this particular winter evening. The storm had been building all day. Maya watched from the observation deck as dark clouds rolled across the sky like angry waves. The weather report said it would be the worst blizzard in decades. All communication with the outside world would be cut off for at least 2 days, maybe more. She was completely alone at the station. Her research partner had left the week before for medical leave, and the next supply drop wasn't scheduled. For another month, Maya was reviewing her daily notes when she saw it. A bright flash of light streaked across the sky, much too slow to be lightning and far too bright to be a regular aircraft. It looked like a falling star, but something about it felt different. The light pulsed and flickered as it descended, almost like it was trying to control its fall. The object crashed somewhere beyond the ridge, maybe 2 miles from the station. Maya felt the ground shake beneath her feet, and the lights in the station flickered for a moment. Her scientific curiosity kicked in immediately. Meteorites weren't uncommon in this region. This one seemed unusually large and bright. She grabbed her binoculars and tried to spot where it had landed, but the snow was falling too heavily to see anything clearly. The smart thing would be to wait until morning, or at least until the storm passed. That's what the safety manual said. That's what any reasonable person would do. But Maya had never been accused of being entirely reasonable. She had become a scientist because she couldn't ignore mysteries, couldn't let questions go unanswered. And this felt like the kind of discovery that could change everything. Against every rule in the book, Maya began preparing for a trek into the storm. She put on her heaviest winter gear, 3 layers of thermal clothing, waterproof boots, goggles, and gloves so thick she could barely move her fingers. She packed emergency supplies, a GPS device, rope, and a powerful flashlight. The wind was already strong enough to knock her down if she wasn't careful. The moment she stepped outside, the cold hit her like a physical blow. The wind was so loud, she couldn't hear her own thoughts. Snow whipped around her in every direction, making it almost impossible to see more than a few feet ahead. But Maya pressed on, following the GPS coordinates she had estimated for the crash site. Walking through the deep snow was exhausting. Each step required enormous effort, and the wind kept pushing her off course. Several times she considered turning back, but something kept pulling her forward. Maybe it was scientific curiosity, or maybe it was something deeper, a feeling that this moment would define the rest of her life. After what felt like hours of fighting through the storm, Maya saw something that made her heart race. There, half buried in a snowdrift, was what looked like a metallic object. But it wasn't rough and rocky like a meteorite should be. The surface was smooth, almost mirror-like, and it seemed to glow with a faint blue light as she got closer. Maya realized this wasn't a meteor at all. The object was clearly artificial, with curved edges and what looked like seams running along its surface. It was about the size of a small car, but shaped like nothing she had ever seen before. The metal seemed to shift colors in the light, going from silver to blue to almost purple. Maya walked around the object, trying to understand what she was looking at.
Ow.
Then she found what appeared to be an opening, a section of the hull that had cracked during the crash. Warm air was escaping from inside, melting the snow around the gap. She could see a faint light coming from within. Her hands were shaking, and not just from the cold. Maya knew she was looking at something that shouldn't exist, something that would change humanity's understanding of its place in the universe. But she also knew that if there was anyone inside this craft, they might be hurt or dying. She managed to widen the crack enough to peer inside. The interior was lit by a soft blue-white light that seemed to come from the walls themselves. And there, lying motionless on what looked like a control seat, was a figure that made Maya's breath catch in her throat. It was clearly alive, but just as clearly not human. The being was tall and slender, with pale blue skin that seemed to shimmer. In the strange light, its features were delicate, almost beautiful, but unmistakably alien. Long, graceful limbs, larger eyes than any human, and hair that looked more like fine silver threads. The creature appeared to be unconscious, and Maya could see that it was shivering. Whatever world this being came from, it clearly wasn't prepared. For Earth's winter, steam rose from its skin where snowflakes landed and immediately melted. Maya faced the biggest decision of her life. She could return to the station, report what she had found, and wait for authorities to arrive. That would be the safe choice, the responsible choice. But she also knew what would happen then. The military would take over, the creature would become a test subject, and any chance for peaceful contact would be lost forever. Or she could try to help this being herself. It would mean taking enormous risks, breaking countless rules, and possibly changing the course of human history. But looking at the unconscious figure, Maya saw not an alien threat, but a living being in need of help. The storm was getting worse, and the temperature was dropping rapidly. If she was going to act, it had to be now. Maya made her choice. Carefully entered the craft and gathered the unconscious being in her arms. Surprised by how light it felt, despite its height, the journey back to the station was the most difficult of her life. Carrying her unexpected passenger while fighting through the blizzard pushed Maya to her absolute limits. But somehow, driven by determination and adrenaline, she made it back as the storm reached its full fury. As she carried the alien being into the warmth of the research station, Maya realized that nothing would ever be the same again. She had just become the first human to make contact with life from another world, and she had no idea what would happen next. Maya carefully placed the unconscious being on the medical bed in the station's small infirmary. Her heart was pounding so hard she could hear it in her ears. She had brought an actual alien into her research station. The thought was both terrifying and incredible at the same time. The being's skin felt cool to the touch, but not dangerously cold. Maya checked for signs of injury and found what looked like a small cut on the creature's forehead, probably from the crash. She cleaned it gently with antiseptic, not knowing if human medical supplies would help or harm an alien, but feeling like she had to do something. As she worked, Maya got her first close look at this visitor from another world. The being was definitely female, with features that were both strange and somehow familiar. Her face was longer and more angular than a human's, with high cheekbones and a narrow chin. Her skin had a slight blue tint and seemed to glow very faintly in the dim light. Most striking were her eyes, larger than human eyes, with irises that shifted between blue and violet. Maya was taking notes when the alien's eyes suddenly fluttered open. For a moment, both women just stared at each other in complete silence. Maya felt frozen, not knowing what to do or say. "How do you greet the first alien you've ever met?" The alien sat up slowly, looking around the room with obvious confusion. Then she looked directly at Maya and did something completely unexpected. She smiled. It was a gentle, grateful smile that looked surprisingly human. "Thank you," the alien said in clear English, though her voice had a musical quality that Maya had never heard before. "You saved my life." Maya's mouth fell open. "You can speak English?" The alien nodded. "My people have been watching your world for some time. We learned your languages by listening to your broadcasts. I am called Zara." Her accent was unlike anything Maya had ever heard. Not quite European, not quite Asian, but something entirely new. "I'm Maya," she managed to say, still trying to process that she was having a normal conversation with a being from another planet. "Are you hurt? Do you need medical attention?" Zara moved her arms and legs carefully, testing for injuries. "I am mostly unharmed, thanks to you. My ship's safety systems protected me during the crash, but the cold... ... Double quotes. She shivered slightly. "My world is much warmer than yours. I was not prepared for such freezing temperatures." Maya brought over a thick blanket and wrapped it around Zara's shoulders. "What happened to your ship? Was it really an accident?" Zara's expression darkened. "Not entirely. My ship was sabotaged before I left my homeworld. There are those among my people who believe contact with humans would be dangerous for both our species." "Contact?" Maya pulled up a chair, realizing this conversation was going to be much more important than she had imagined. "You came here to make contact with us?" "In a way, yes." Zara pulled the blanket tighter around herself. "My people are refugees, Maya. Our planet is dying. The climate changed too rapidly for us to adapt, and now it is too cold for most of us to survive. We have been searching the galaxy for a new home. Maya felt a chill that had nothing to do with the weather outside. You want to live on Earth? Not take it from you, Zara said quickly, seeming to understand Maya's concern. We were hoping to find a way to share it. Your planet has so much space, so many areas that humans do not use. We thought perhaps we could find some small corner where we could build new lives. How many of you are there? Not many. Perhaps a few thousand survivors. We are not an army, Maya. We are families looking for a place to call home. Zara's voice carried deep sadness. I was sent to observe your people, to learn about your nature, to see if you might be willing to help us. Maya stood up and walked to the window, looking out at the raging storm. The wind was howling even louder now, and snow was piling up against the glass. And what have you learned about us? That you are capable of great kindness, Zara said. Softly, you risked your life to save a complete stranger, a being that looks nothing like you, from a world you have never seen. That gives me hope. Suddenly, the lights in the station flickered and went out. Emergency lighting kicked in, casting everything in a red glow. Maya heard the heating system make a grinding noise and then fall silent. That's not good, Maya muttered, checking the control panel. The storm is stronger than we thought. Damaged our power systems. Zara stood up, still wrapped in the blanket. How long will the backup power last? Maybe 12 hours, if we're lucky. But without the main heating system, ... Maya did some quick calculations in her head. The temperature in here will drop below freezing within a few hours. They both looked. At the thermometer on the wall, it was already showing the temperature dropping steadily. Outside, the storm continued to rage with no sign of stopping. Is there anywhere warmer we can go? Zara asked. Maya shook her head. This is it, or completely. Cut off until the storm passes. No communication with the outside world. No way to call for help. Zara was quiet for a moment, thinking. On my world, when we faced the great cold, families would huddle together for warmth. Body heat can keep people alive when nothing else will. Maya felt her cheeks grow warm despite the dropping temperature. She understood what Zara was suggesting, but the idea of sharing that kind of closeness with an alien being felt overwhelming. We still have a few hours before it gets truly dangerous, Maya said. Maybe the power will come back on? But even as she said it, Maya could see her breath starting to form small clouds in the air. The station was cooling down faster than she had hoped. She checked the backup generator and found that the storm had damaged more systems than she initially thought. Zara watched Maya work, sensing her growing concern. You are worried. Yes, Maya admitted. If we can't get the heat working again, this could be very serious. These storms can last for days, and the temperature outside is already 40 degrees below zero. Then we may have to depend on each other to survive, Zara said simply. Just as you depended on your courage to save me, and I depend on your kindness to trust me. Maya looked at this strange, beautiful being who had fallen from the sky into her life. 24 hours ago, she had been alone in the station, focused on her research, never imagining that everything was about to change. Now, she was responsible, not just for her own survival, but for the life of Earth's first alien visitor. The temperature continued to drop. And Maya realized that the next few hours would test both of them in ways they had never imagined. They were about to learn just how much two very different beings could depend on each other when survival was the only thing that mattered. The temperature inside the station kept dropping. Maya could see her breath now, and frost was starting to form on the windows. She had tried everything she could think of to fix the heating system, but the storm had damaged too many components. The backup power was running low, and soon even the emergency lights would go out. Maya pulled on another sweater and wrapped a blanket around her shoulders. Across the room, Zara was sitting quietly, still covered in the blanket Maya had given her earlier. But Maya could see that the alien woman was shivering more and more as the temperature continued to fall. How are you holding up? Maya asked, her breath forming small clouds as she spoke. I am very cold, Zara admitted. My people evolved on a warm planet. Our bodies are not built for temperatures like this. If it gets much colder. She didn't need to finish the sentence. Maya understood. They were both in serious danger. Maya checked the thermometer again. The temperature had dropped to just above freezing, and it was falling fast. Outside, the storm showed no signs of stopping. The wind was howling so loudly that the whole building shook. We need to conserve body heat, Maya said, trying to think. Practically, despite how awkward the situation felt, the bedroom has fewer windows. It will stay warmer longer. They moved to Maya's small bedroom at the back of the station. Maya gathered every blanket and sleeping bag she could find. She also lit several candles, which provided a small amount of heat along with their flickering light. Even with all the blankets, the cold was becoming dangerous. Maya's fingers were getting numb, and she was worried about Zara, who seemed to be struggling more with the low temperature. Maya, Zara said quietly, her voice shaking from the cold. I know this may seem strange to you, but where I come from, when facing extreme cold, people share warmth by staying close together. It is the most efficient way to survive. Maya felt her cheeks turn red, but she knew Zara was right. She had learned about survival techniques in her training. Sharing body heat was a legitimate way to prevent hypothermia, but knowing that didn't make the situation feel less awkward. You mean ... Maya started to say. It is cold, and we have to sleep in the same bed, Zara said simply. It is not about anything else. It is about staying alive. Maya looked at the single bed, then at Zara, who was clearly suffering from the cold. She made her decision based on simple human compassion and survival instinct. Okay, she said, but just for warmth. It's just to survive the night. They arranged all the blankets and sleeping bags on the bed, creating as many layers as possible. Maya kept her clothes on, and Zara did the same. They lay down carefully, maintaining some distance at first. But the cold quickly made them move closer together. The awkwardness faded as the practical reality set in. They were two living beings, trying not to freeze to death. Maya could feel the warmth radiating from Zara's body, and she realized that the alien woman was actually warmer than a human would be, despite her complaints about the cold. Is this helping? Maya asked quietly. Yes, thank you, Zara replied. Your kindness continues to amaze me. Most beings would not trust a stranger so completely. As they lay there in the candlelight, listening to the storm outside, they began to talk. At first, their conversation was hesitant, but gradually, they became more comfortable with each other. Tell me about your world, Maya said. What was it like before it became too cold? Zara's voice took on a dreamy quality as she described her home planet. Imagine endless forests of silver trees that sparkled in the light of our two suns. That flowed warm even in winter. Cities built into the sides of crystal mountains. The air was always warm and smelled of flowers that bloomed year-round. It sounds beautiful. What happened to it? Our scientists say it was natural climate change, but it happened much faster than anyone predicted. Within 2 generations, the temperature dropped so much that most of our crops died. The warm rivers froze. The silver trees withered and fell. Maya felt a deep sadness for Zara and her people. It must have been terrifying, it was. His families had to leave homes that had been in their bloodlines for thousands of years. We watched our civilization crumble as the cold took everything we had built. Zara was quiet for a moment. That is why finding a new home is so important to us. We cannot survive another migration. What about your family? Maya asked gently. Have a younger brother who is part of the group still searching for planets we might be able to live on. My parents stayed behind to help others who were too old or sick to travel. Zara's voice became very soft. I do not know if I will ever see them again. Maya felt a connection to Zara's story that surprised her. I understand feeling alone. I chose to work in isolated places like this because I never felt like I fit in with other people. I always felt like an outsider. But you are among your own kind, Zara said, sounding puzzled. Being the same species doesn't always mean you belong, Maya explained. I was always the weird one who was more interested in science than in social events. I preferred books to parties. I came here partly because I was tired of feeling different from everyone around me. Yet you risked everything to help someone who is truly different from you. Maybe that's exactly why I could help you. I know what it feels like to be the stranger." They continued talking through the night, sharing stories about their childhoods, their dreams, their fears. Zara told Maya about the technology of her people and how they had learned to travel between stars. Maya described Earth's oceans and forests, places that Zara had only seen from space. "Your planet is so beautiful from above," Zara said. "The blue oceans, the white clouds, the green and brown continents. It looks like a jewel floating in space." "I've always wanted to see Earth from space," Maya admitted. "What does it feel like to travel among the stars?" "Lonely," Zara said honestly. "The universe is so vast, and there are so few places where life can exist. Finding your world gave us hope, but it also made us realize how precious life is wherever it occurs." As the hours passed, Maya found herself relaxing completely for the first time in years. There was something about Zara's presence that made her feel understood in a way she had never experienced before. Despite coming from different worlds, they seemed to share a similar spirit. "Maya," Zara said as the candles began to burn low, "thank you for trusting me. I know this situation is strange for you." "Thank you for trusting me too," Maya replied. "Most people would probably have run away screaming if they found a crashed alien spaceship." "Most people are not like you," Zara said with a smile on her voice. Outside, the storm continued to rage. But inside their small bubble of warmth and blankets, Maya and Zara had found something neither of them had expected. They had found friendship across the vastness of space, a connection that transcended the differences between their species. As they finally drifted off to sleep, Maya realized that this night was changing her in ways she was only beginning to understand. Tomorrow would bring new challenges, but for now, she felt less alone than she had in years. Maya woke up to the sound of silence. After 2 days of constant howling wind, the sudden quiet felt strange and almost unnatural. Pale morning light was filtering through the frost-covered windows, and she could tell that the storm had finally passed. She carefully moved away from Zara, who was still sleeping peacefully. Their shared warmth had gotten them through the night, and Maya was surprised by how natural it had felt to trust someone so completely. "I had never been able to sleep comfortably around other people, but somehow Zara's presence had been calming. Rather than stressful, Maya quietly worked on restarting the heating system. With the storm over, she was able to access the external components and make the necessary repairs. Soon, warm air was flowing through the station again, and the temperature began to rise. The sound of the heating system woke Zara, who sat up and looked around with relief. "The storm has ended," she said, more as a statement than a question. "Yes, finally, we made it through." Maya brought over a cup of hot coffee for herself and warm tea for Zara. "How are you feeling?" "Much better, thanks to you," Zara accepted the tea gratefully. "I need to check on my ship and see if I can repair the communication system. My people will be worried." They walked outside together, and Maya was amazed by the transformation. The world was covered in fresh white snow that sparkled in the sunlight. The air was crisp and clean, and everything looked peaceful and beautiful. It was hard to believe that just hours ago, this same landscape had been trying to kill them. Zara's ship was almost completely buried in snow, but they were able to dig it out. The damage looked worse in daylight than it had during the storm. Part of the hull was cracked, and several components were clearly broken. "Can you fix it?" Maya asked. Zara examined the ship carefully, running her hands over the damaged areas. "Some of it, yes, but I will need parts that I do not have, and the communication array is completely destroyed." Maya felt a strange mix of relief and disappointment. Part of her was glad that Zara couldn't leave immediately, but she knew that wasn't fair to either of them. "What will you do now?" "I have emergency equipment inside that should allow me to send a basic signal to my people. They will send a rescue ship, but it may take several days to reach me." Zara looked at Maya seriously, which brings up an important question. "What will you tell your authorities about what happened here?" Maya had been dreading this conversation. "I don't know. I'm supposed to report everything that happens at the station. Finding a crashed alien ship is definitely something I should report. And if you do report it, Maya knew exactly what would happen. Military personnel would arrive within hours. They would take you into custody, study your ship, probably take you to some secret facility for testing and interrogation. Zara nodded sadly. That is what I feared. My mission was to evaluate whether your people were ready for peaceful contact. Such a response would suggest they are not. They spent the morning working together to repair what they could of Zara's ship. Maya was fascinated by the alien technology, which seemed to work on principles she didn't fully understand. Everything was more elegant and efficient than human technology, but also somehow more organic looking. Your people must be very advanced, Maya said, as she watched Zara repair a component that seemed to fix itself under her touch. In some ways, yes. But advancement in technology does not always mean advancement in wisdom. That is why some of my people oppose this mission. What do you mean? Zara stopped working and looked at Maya. I told you that my ship was sabotaged. What I did not tell you is who was responsible. It was my own brother. Maya felt shocked. The brother you mentioned last night, the one searching for planets? Yes. He and others believe that contact with humans would be dangerous for both our species. They think your people are too aggressive, too quick to violence. They fear that revealing ourselves would lead to war. And you disagree? I did disagree, but I was not certain until I met you. Zara smiled. You have shown me that humans are capable of great compassion, even toward strangers who look nothing like them. That gives me hope.
Oh.
Maya felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders. Her actions over the past few days weren't just about her and Zara anymore. They might determine the future relationship between their two species. What will you tell your people about humans when you return? It depends partly on what happens. Next, if you report my presence to your military, I will have to tell my people that humans respond to the unknown with fear and aggression. But if you help me leave quietly, then you could tell them that humans are capable of friendship and cooperation, Maya finished. They worked in comfortable silence for a while, both thinking about the decision that lay ahead of them. Maya knew that helping Zara escape would mean breaking her oath as a scientist and potentially putting her career in danger, but she also knew that reporting Zara's presence could destroy any chance for peaceful contact between their species. As the day progressed, Zara managed to get her basic communication system working. She sent a coded message to her people, letting them know she was alive and requesting pickup at a set of coordinates several miles from the research station. They will arrive tomorrow night, she told Maya. That gives us time to decide what to do. Maya had been struggling with the decision all day, but as she watched Zara work with such skill and grace, she remembered their conversations through the long, cold night. She realized that her choice was already made. I'm not going to report you, she said suddenly. Zara stopped what she was doing and looked at Maya with surprise. Are you certain? This could cause problems for you? Maybe, but it's the right thing to do. You came here in peace, you've done nothing to harm anyone, and you're just trying to help your people find a new home. I won't be the reason that gets turned into a nightmare. Your kindness continues to amaze me, Zara said softly, but there is more to consider. If my people decide to make contact with humans in the future, someone will need to serve as a bridge between our species, someone who understands both sides. Maya felt her heart racing. What are you saying? I am saying that this is not goodbye forever. If you are willing, I would like to stay in contact with you, to learn more about your people through your eyes, and to help my people understand that not all humans should be feared. The idea was both thrilling and terrifying. Maya would become humanity's first unofficial ambassador to an alien species. It would mean keeping an enormous secret, but it would also mean being part of something that could change both worlds forever. How would that work? Zara reached into her ship and pulled out what looked like a small, crystalline device. This is a communication crystal. It will allow us to send messages across the stars. No one else will be able to detect or intercept these transmissions. Maya took the device, marveling at how it seemed to pulse with its own inner light. Trust me with this. You risked your life to save a stranger from another world. You shared your warmth to keep us both alive. You were willing to sacrifice your own security to protect my people's future. Yes, Maya Rodriguez. I trust you completely. As the sun began to set on what had been the most extraordinary few days of Maya's life, she realized that everything was about to change. She was no longer just a scientist studying life in extreme environments. She was about to become the secret link between two worlds, carrying the hopes and fears of two species on her shoulders. But as she looked at Zara, who had become more than just an alien visitor, who had become a true friend, Maya knew she was ready for whatever came next. The next evening arrived faster than Maya had expected. She and Zara spent the day preparing for what they both knew would be a difficult goodbye. They had grown close in such a short time, and the thought of being separated felt more painful than Maya had anticipated. As darkness fell, they walked together to the coordinates where Zara's rescue ship would arrive. The night was clear and cold, with millions of stars visible in the unpolluted Arctic sky. Maya had looked at these same stars countless times before, but now they felt different. She knew that somewhere out there among those distant points of light was another world full of people who were not so different from humans after all. "Are you nervous?" Maya asked as they waited. "A little," Zara admitted. "I will have to explain to my people why my mission took so long and why my ship was so badly damaged. But mostly I am thinking about what I will tell them about humans. And what will you tell them?" Zara smiled. "That I met a human who showed me that your species is capable of great kindness, even to strangers. That you value life, whether it comes from your world or mine. That you are willing to take risks to help others, even when it costs you something." Maya felt her cheeks grow warm. "I just did what felt right. That is exactly why it matters. You did not help me because someone told you to, or because you thought you would get something in return. You helped me because your heart told you it was the right thing to do. That gives me great hope for the future of both our peoples." A soft humming sound began to fill the air, growing louder by the second. Maya looked up and saw a shape moving among the stars, getting larger as it approached. The rescue ship was nothing like Zara's small craft. It was elegant and graceful, with smooth curves that seemed to flow like liquid metal. As it descended, Maya could see that it was glowing with the same soft blue light she had seen in Zara's ship. The craft landed silently in the snow, about 50 yards away from them. A section of the hull opened and two figures emerged. Even from a distance, Maya could see that they looked similar to Zara, with the same tall, slender build and pale blue skin. "My rescue team," Zara explained. "They will want to examine my ship and understand what happened." The two aliens approached cautiously, clearly surprised to see Maya standing with Zara. They spoke to Zara in their own language, which sounded like music mixed with the sound of wind chimes. Maya couldn't understand the words, but she could hear the concern and relief in their voices. Zara responded in the same musical language, then turned to Maya. "I've told them that you saved my life and that you are a friend to our people. They are grateful, but they are also worried about what your authorities might do if they learn of our presence." One of the rescue team members approached Maya and spoke in accented English. "Human friend, we thank you for helping our sister. But we must ask, will you tell others of our kind about this meeting?" Maya looked into the alien's large, expressive eyes and saw the same fear she had seen in Zara when they first met. "No, I will not tell anyone. Your secret is safe with me." The alien seemed to relax a little. "Zara has told us much about you. She says you are different from what we expected humans to be." "We're not all the same," Maya said simply. "Just like, I'm sure your people aren't all the same either." The alien nodded thoughtfully.
This is true?
"Perhaps there is hope for understanding between our kinds after all." The rescue team spent an hour examining Zara's damaged ship and gathering the salvageable parts. Maya watched with fascination as they worked with tools that seemed to respond to their thoughts rather than their hands. Their technology was so far beyond anything humans had developed that it felt almost like magic. Finally, it was time for Zara to leave. She approached Maya with something in her hands, the communication crystal she had shown her the day before. "Remember, this will allow us to stay in contact across any distance," Zara said, placing the crystal in Maya's palm. "That it represents a bridge between our worlds. You are now the only human who knows the truth about my people, and the only one we trust with that knowledge." Maya felt the weight of responsibility settling on her shoulders again. What if I make a mistake? What if I say or do something that makes your people decide humans can't be trusted? You will not, Zara said with certainty. You've already proven who you are. Trust yourself the way I trust you. They embraced goodbye, and Maya was struck by how natural it felt to hug someone from another world. Despite all the differences between them, the basic human need for connection and friendship seemed to transcend species. Will I see you again? Maya asked. I hope so. If my people decide to make formal contact with humans someday, I would like to be part of that mission. And if they do, I will recommend that the first meetings be with people like you, scientists and thinkers, not politicians and military leaders. That might be the best approach, Maya agreed. Scientists tend to be more interested in understanding than in controlling. Zara walked toward the rescue ship, then turned back one more time. Maya, there is something else I want you to know. My brother, the one who sabotaged my ship, I plan to tell him about you. I want him to understand that. Not all humans are to be feared. You think it will change his mind? Perhaps. He is stubborn, but he is not unreasonable. If I can convince him that humans are capable of friendship, it could change everything for both our peoples. With that, Zara boarded the rescue ship. Maya watched as the craft rose silently into the night sky, its blue glow fading until it was just another point of light among the stars. But Maya knew she would never look at the night sky the same way again. She walked back to the research station, clutching the communication crystal in her pocket. Her life had been turned upside down in just 3 days, but she felt more purposeful than she ever had before. She was no longer just a scientist studying extremophiles in the Arctic. She had become humanity's first contact with another intelligent species, and possibly the key to a peaceful future between two worlds. 3 weeks later, Maya was in her lab analyzing ice samples when the crystal began to glow. She quickly activated it, and Zara's voice filled the room as clear as if she were standing right there. Maya, can you hear me? Zara, yes, I can hear you perfectly. How are you? Did you make it home safely? I did, and I have good news. I spoke with the Council of Elders about my mission, and I told them about you. They were very interested in what I had to say. Maya felt her heart racing. What did you tell them? I told them about your courage, your kindness, and your willingness to trust a stranger. I told them that if there are more humans like you, then perhaps our species can find a way to share your beautiful world in peace. And what did they say? They have agreed to send more scouts to Earth, but this time they will be looking for scientists and peacemakers, not politicians and warriors. They want to find more humans like you before making any decisions about contact. Maya sat down, heavily in her chair. The implications were enormous. How long will that take? Perhaps a year? Maybe 2? We need to be very careful and very sure before we take such a big step. But Maya, you should know that when we do make contact, we want you to be part of it. You understand both sides now. You could help translate not just our languages, but our intentions and our fears. I would be honored, Maya said, though part of her was terrified by the magnitude of what they were discussing. There is something else, Zara continued. I have convinced my brother to meet with me. I am going to tell him about you. About what you did for me. If I can change his mind about humans, it could make the path to peace much easier. Maya looked out her window at the endless Arctic landscape, thinking about how much her life had changed since that stormy night when a light fell from the sky. She had always felt like an outsider among her own species, but now she had found her true purpose as a bridge between worlds. Zara, she said into the crystal, thank you for trusting me with this. I promise I won't let you down. You could never let me down, Maya Rodriguez. I've already changed the course of history, just by being who you are. As the communication ended and the crystal's glow faded, Maya smiled. She was no longer alone in the universe. Somewhere among the stars, she had a friend who understood her. And together, they were working toward something that could benefit both their peoples. The future was uncertain, and the challenges ahead would be enormous. But for the first time in her life, Maya felt like she was exactly where she belonged, doing exactly what she was meant to do. She was the guardian of a secret that could change everything, and she was ready for whatever came next.